to go over Euclid's 3 undefined terms of geometry. So we're going to take care of some vocabulary today. And I'm going to go in the center of my paper here, make an oval, and put undefined terms. Okay, there's 3 undefined terms, so I am going to cut this into thirds here. I say thirds, but it's not going to be equal pieces, so that's okay. So let's cut our paper in half. And then the top, I am going to cut that in half. So I'm going to have this a lot more space, force there, and then this half down here. Okay. I'm going to try to zoom in here the best I can, where we're only looking at one section at a time. My camera is having trouble focusing. Okay, so I'm actually going to end up using 1, 2, 3, 4 different color pens here. If you are not real artsy fartsy and you're like, I'm good, I don't need to have them color coded. I mean, you don't have to, obviously. And then I'm going to cut this one into fourths. And then I'm going to do the same over here. It seems a little crazy right now, but it'll make sense here once we start filling these out. Okay. So our first undefined term that we are going to talk about is point. A point. So I'm going to write our vocabulary word really big right there. And the definition or the explanation, remember it's undefined. That means Euclid kind of dreamt up. He came up with these 3 undefined terms, and from that he was able to expand upon each of these and write his entire book of geometry, right? He's our father of geometry. And so how he described a point is a location with no size or shape. Very abstract, right? So there's not a clear definition of this is what a point is. So he kind of made it up. He said, okay, for us to be able to do all this geometry that you're going to be doing with me this year, we have to start with a point. Okay. The notation, remember geometry is big on notations. The notation for a point could be written like this. It could just say point A. Okay, you could use the word point, or it might have just a capital letter. In math, capital letters and lowercase letters mean different things. Okay, a lowercase m is slope, but an uppercase m is midpoint. So it's very detailed and we have to be very precise, okay? And then I'm a visual person, okay? I like pictures. So here I'm going to draw a picture. So you might just see like a big dot with a capital letter next to it. That's a point. So you can have point A, you can have point B, you can have point C. Okay, those points could also be on a line or a segment or an angle. Okay, but they're going to have a point and a capital letter next to it. So that's our first undefined term. Then he came up with line. I don't know if this is a good color. I should have tested it. I think it'll be okay. Okay, so from a point, then he said our next undefined term is a line. Okay, a line is made up of an infinite amount of points. So it starts with a point, and then he said if we put a whole bunch of points right next to each other, infinitely going in both directions, that is now a line. So it's made up of infinite points. And I write too big, and I made too small of a box. Points with no thickness or width. And I promise you, I have practiced writing this over and over again, and I still ran out of room. Okay? So a line has no thickness, no width. So it goes on forever and ever in both directions. So the notation. So the notation really is what we look at if we don't have a picture. If we don't have a picture, it needs to be labeled correctly. So if you tell me BC, just like that, I'm like, okay, 2 points? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So we have to draw the line above our 2 points to say, oh, okay, line BC. And you can even invert it, CB. So the order doesn't really matter on how we name our lines. Or you could actually see it written as line, and they might say line K. But your K in this case will be lowercase. So if they use the word line and then a letter, the letter is lowercase. If they use points off of the line, points are capital, that's how I know that those are points, we have to draw the notation of a line above it. Let me get my picture drawn here. This is what line K would look like. So it does have to have arrows on both ends. That tells us this is a line. It's going on forever and ever in both directions. And then it will have a lowercase k, usually cursive, okay, lowercase k right next to it. Over here, somewhere next to it. But because it's a lowercase, I know that's not a point. We're talking about the entire line. So a line can have more than one name. So I could call this line K, and then I could come in here and put points B and C on the line, and now call it line BC or line CB. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? So I can call it line K, or I can call it line BC by choosing 2 points that are on that line. I could even have a third point over here, but I only need 2, okay, to give it its name. So it needs 2 points off of the line to have a name, or you could just use the lowercase letter next to it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see. What color are we going to do now? You know I'm really bad at color contrast, so those look good. All right, let's scooch down to our last term. I'm going to leave a lot of room for this last term. And it's just because I don't like blanks on my paper. So we're going to quarter this bottom half. Quarter just means cut into fourths. Okay. Our last undefined term. Okay. So Euclid says, okay, if I have a point, it's just a location somewhere, and if I put a whole bunch of points together and they never end in this straight line, right? It's not always have to be straight. But we like straight lines. Okay? We make it linear, straight lines. And we have a whole bunch of points together, that's a line, right? Well, then what if we have lines that go this way, but I also want them to extend this way? I want to give it a length going this way and another line going this way. Well, now we have path, right? They're traveling on something, on a flat surface. That's where he came up with plane. So you're going to notice why we have to have these 3 terms to then be able to say, okay, well, what if I just cut my line in half? Oh, now I have a ray. Or what if I just take a chunk out of the line, just a little piece right here? Okay, that's a line segment. So this is like the building blocks. This is the foundation of all of those terms we're going to run into. So then we have to start looking at it as 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, and so forth. So 2-dimension, I've got length and I've got width. So what that means is I'm looking like at a piece of paper, right? Okay, if I've got lines going this way, lines going this way, well, they're all sitting on a flat surface, and that's where a plane comes from. So a plane is a flat surface that we find all of our points and lines on. They have an infinite, I don't know what that was. Okay, I have an infinite amount of points all over it, and it extends indefinitely. in all directions. And that's the abstract part of geometry that I think is a little bit hard to explain, to teach. Because I can say, okay, a plane is like this sheet of paper, right? And it goes forever and ever in this way. We have to kind of think, okay, the paper is just, this is just something I can hold to give you an idea as a point on a plane. But in reality, this plane travels forever and ever because numbers go on forever and ever. If I had a number of points, well, I can think of a number line on this. Well, it'd go forever and ever and ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, infinity amount of points. So even though we're limited, in class of saying, okay, I know I'm eventually going to run out of room on my paper, a plane, we have to visualize, really does go on forever and ever in both directions, left, right, up, down, diagonal. It's going to continue on and on because numbers are infinite, right? And when we're counting points on a number or on a line or something like that, we could continue counting forever and ever. All right, so what's the notation? Notations are kind of hard because, like I said, they can have multiple names, things like that. So the notation is they could actually just use the word plane. Okay. They need 3 points. So when a point gets 1 letter, okay, a line gets 2 letters, a plane gets 3 letters. That's how I remember it. So any 3 letters, which are points that we see on there. So I'm just going to say PQR. Okay. Now I'm starting to think I probably should have done the picture and then the notation. It's okay. We're going to commit to this. Or if they have just 1 letter, plane B, it'll be capitalized. The capital letter, and I'm going to draw this and give you that visual aid. And you're going to notice it's going to be sitting off to like a corner of your plane, and it's not going to have a point next to it. Okay, so if it doesn't have a point next to it, then that's the name of your plane. Or again, you can always just choose 3 points off of the plane. It does not matter which 3 points, as long as they are inside that plane. So again, it's kind of hard to visualize how this is really infinite direction. So I'm just going to draw a horrible looking plane. Sorry about that. Okay, and I'm going, again, you might see just a capital letter sitting off in the corner somewhere, and that could be the name. But you have to put the word plane or point so we know what that capital letter represents. Okay, so plane B, it might look like that. It's not going to have a point on it. But if you want to name it by its points, that's okay too. Okay, some of us go by nicknames, right? So some of us have more than one name that we go by. This plane could be called plane B, or it could be called plane PQR. And just choose 3. I think I forgot to put that. So 3 points off of the plane. I could have 10 points labeled. Just pick 3. It does not matter which ones. Okay? So these are the 3 undefined terms that began all of this beautiful geometry we're going to be doing this year. So review one more time. We have point. It's a location. We had to say, okay, where are you at? Well, I'm here. So this is where I'm at. Point. A location with no size or shape. The notation is 1 capital letter. Okay, and we want to put the word point in front of it so we know it's a point. Or in picture form, it would just be that dot with a capital letter next to it. A line is made up of infinite points with no thickness or width. Okay, the notation is it's lowercase letter, but you have to put the word line in front of it so we know what the lowercase letter means. Line K. Or you could choose 2 points off of the line, but you have to draw the line above it. Okay, and it doesn't matter the order. You could have 20 points labeled there. Just pick 2. Doesn't matter which ones, as long as they're on the line. And last but not least, our plane. Our plane is a flat surface. It has infinite amount of points. Okay, it extends indefinitely in all directions. We're just kind of limited to our paper, right? And the notation is 3 points that lie inside of that plane. So if I had a point over here, put one in here. I put a point right there. Nope, it's not on the plane, so it's not going to count. Or we'll use the word plane with the capital letter, and it's the letter that doesn't get the point drawn next